Today we will be making a mini New York style cheesecake. It's easy to make and absolutely delicious as a formal dessert or just a late night snack.
Okay, to get started on our mini cheesecakes, we're going to start with the graham cracker crust, and you're going to need 2 cups of crushed graham crackers. I like to put them in a plastic Ziploc bag, and that way it's really easy to crush them up. I mean, you can use a blender if you would like, but this just seems to work really well. So let's get these guys in here. And I'm using, there are, let's see, there's about 8 in a package, and I'm using 4 packages. And then we'll measure them out just to make sure that we're right on that 2 cups at the end. Okay, and I like to use a rolling pin. Take your aggression out on those graham crackers. Makes you feel good. And you're just going to keep crushing until you get them all to a very fine crumb. Okay, so as you can see, we've got these guys pretty crushed up nicely. So you just want to take and measure out 2 cups. I mean, if you go a little over, I'm sure it's not a big deal, but there's 1 and 2. And you know what's great? These little guys are wonderful on top of ice cream, any kind of little fruit dessert. It just gives it a crunch, and they're delicious. So save those for later use. Okay, so we have those, and to that we're going to add 3 tablespoons of sugar and 1/3 cup of melted butter. And I just melted mine in the microwave. You can do it on the stovetop, whatever you like. And you just want to mix this up until it's all come together. And clean hands are a cook's best friend. So we can actually take our hands too, almost like if you're making a pie crust. And let's get that all mixed up. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and fill our pans, and I like to use a large ice cream scoop. It seems to dispense it a lot easier, and it seems to get it in there evenly too. And what I do is I go around and I fill all of them, and then I go back and fill again. And that way we ensure that we're getting an even amount in each one. And this will make 8 small cheesecakes. Okay, and the way I like to smash these down, a lot of people always use their hands, but I find the easiest way is to use a small glass with a diameter obviously smaller than your opening of your pan. And you just take that and you smush it down, and it makes it so flat and perfect. It's great. Okay, now that we have all our little crust ready, we're going to take these and put them on a pan that I have lined with parchment paper, and that just prevents any kind of little spills in your oven. And we'll go ahead and lay these on here and get our filling ready, and then we'll come back to them. Okay, we're ready to start our filling. It's actually a 2-part filling, and I'll get to that in a few minutes. But what we're putting into our mixer is 4 8-ounce packages of cream cheese. And to those 4 8-ounce packages of cream cheese, we're going to add 1 cup of sugar. That's granulated sugar. And we have 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And we need to get this all beat up. So I always suggest lock your mixer if you have the KitchenAid, because it is, and I start on low. Start it on low until it can catch up, so you don't be wearing your cream cheese. Okay, so we want to turn that mixer up a little higher after we start getting it creamed. And as you can see, it's really coming together nicely. You want to make sure all that sugar is totally mixed up. And let's turn it off and scrape it down. Make sure we're getting it all. And make sure all that gets mixed very nicely. And I would say a couple of minutes at the most. And we're just about there, so that looks great. So we can stop, because now we're going to add some other ingredients. Okay, now we're going to add a cup of sour cream to this mixture that we just creamed. And then we'll be mixing that again until it's well blended. Okay, now we're blending in our sour cream. Want to make sure all of that's incorporated in there. And again, I always just ensure I take my spatula and go around and scrape it down and make sure we have it all in there. And that looks just about perfect. Now we're going to add 4 eggs. And we're going to add them one at a time. Okay, now we're ready to add our eggs to our mixture. And I always like to separate them one at a time into a little ramekin just in case you get any shells or it's a bad egg. So it's always best to do that with any of your ingredients like that when you're baking. And we're going to add them one at a time. Okay. Here's the third one. And our last one. We'll crank that speed up just a little bit. I'm going to scrape it down one more time. Okay, we're ready to fill our cheesecake pans. And you can always save this batter for your husband if you don't have children or anybody that loves to lick the batter off of a beater. Let me wash my hands real quick. It is messy. Okay. All right, and the way I like to do it, I like to use a ladle. That just seems to work best. So you can get these in there pretty evenly and everything. And I do the same way that I did my crust. I usually try to go around, and it does get messy, but that's okay. You can always wipe that up. It's usually going to come at least halfway full in your pans. See, another good reason to use parchment paper. So when you have these messes, easy to clean up afterwards. Now I fill them all up, and then I go back and do it again until I get just about the right amount in each one, which, as I stated, might be about 1/2 to 3/4. I'm just kind of wiping up the excess here, and as you can see, these are about 3/4 full, each of them are. And these are going to go into a 325-degree oven, and we check them at 27 minutes. And we'll see where we're at as far as them setting, because we want them to be nearly set in the middle, but not entirely, because we're going to add another topping to it at that mark of 27 minutes. So in the oven they go, and the goodness awaits us. Okay, so we're ready to check on these cheesecakes. It's been exactly 27 minutes, and let's take a look at them. Nice, and as you can see, they're starting to set up around the edges. This is what you want to see. It's just perfect. And if you jiggle it, you see how it's a little jiggly like Jell-O in the middle. That's perfect. That's what you want. And now, the second part of this, we're going to top these with a mixture of 1 cup of sour cream, a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, and then 1 teaspoon of vanilla. just want to stir this all together really well. And this just takes these cheesecakes over the top, I think. This just makes it so good. And now what we want to do is we want to dollop a little bit on each one. And it may melt a little, and that's just fine. Do just like we did before. We want to go around and even it out. And it's not going to be a thick topping. This is just exactly what you want right here. Okay, and let me get an offset spatula so I can mix these up. So, and you could probably use a butter knife or anything. What we want to do is just try to get that around there as evenly as possible. It does not have to go to the edges. It's just a topping. So as long as you just get it pretty smoothed out, you're good to go. And this is just kind of meld into that cheesecake when it finishes baking. Okay, now that we have those done, it's time to put them back in the oven, and about 17 more minutes, and these babies will be ready. Okay, it's been 17 minutes, so let's get those cheesecakes out of the oven. And this is what you want. I know they look like they're not done, but they are. And as you see, they've firmed up even a little bit more. And you can see how this sour cream has melded into it. And once these chill, they'll just set up completely. And it's going to take a minimum of 3 hours on this. I prefer overnight. Our cheesecake has chilled a minimum of 3 hours, so we're going to go ahead and unmold this and show you what it looks like on the plate. Of course, everybody's mostly familiar with the springform pan. You just want to pull your clasp out. And then I usually just push up from the bottom. And there you have that. And now sometimes this can be a little tricky. Just kind of run your knife under it all the way around, so we can get that crust off. And then I use a spatula usually too, which really helps. But like I said, if it feels a little soft, go ahead and stick it in the freezer, and then you'll ensure a successful plating. All right, let's slide that baby on there. And then there's a few options you have. Fresh fruit is beautiful on it, strawberries. You can heat up some raspberry jam and kind of sauce that on the plate with it. I've got chocolate sauce, just anything. It's unlimited, the imagination that you can use with this. But I think this makes a beautiful presentation, just simply doing some chocolate sauce across the top. And there you have a lovely cheesecake, which is perfect for a formal dinner or a late night snack even. So thank you for watching, and please be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed the channel, and don't forget to click the bell icon at the top to be notified when we do post new videos. Thank you all for watching. Ciao.